Welcome back to Where You Live with Gene and Tony. It's great to have you with us. We are broadcasting from the Concierge Landscape Studios. We're brought to you this hour by Extreme Exteriors and American Family Insurance, the Kim Bennett Agency. We've got Kim Bennett on the line as we're talking about this issue with Trayvon's Martin's mother, who is now suing the association and they're turning to the association's insurance provider to pay this amount. Before we get back into our conversation with Kim, I want to let our listeners know it's not too far away, folks. In a couple of weeks, it's going to be the Great Minnesota Get-Together, the Minnesota State Fair. And at Where You Live with Gene and Tony, we're going to be broadcasting live at the State Fair, not only during our regular appointed show on Saturdays at 10, but during the week of the fair, Monday through Friday, at 5 p.m. during the drive home time, we're going to have a special live edition of Where You Live with Gene and Tony, Monday through Friday, each night of the fair. We want to thank Hugh Hewitt, who is very gracious in preempting some of his time to allow us to have that special program. It is shows that will not want to be missed. We will be live taking your calls. We have some tremendous guests that are lining up right now that whole week. And we also have some very interesting entertainment. That's all I'm going to say. And it's not to want to be missed, that's for sure. So that's coming up. That will be Where You Live with Gene and Tony live at the State Fair Saturday at 10 on Saturday the 25th. And then Monday through Friday, the 27th through the 31st of August at 5 p.m. Well, we're talking to Kim Bennett from American Family Insurance. We're talking about the homeowner association where this tragedy took place, and it looks like that Sabrina Fulton, Trayvon Martin's mother, is asking for some large sums of money, so people go to the insurance company. Kim, let me ask you this. It seems to me, this is just my opinion now, but it seems that over the years, we're seeing an increase in just the number of claims that are being presented to insurance companies. Is that just me, or do you think that's true?
No, I totally think that's true, Gene. I think we are kind of the go-to, people at this point if there is some type of liability, or even if there isn't. I just think society itself has just come to look for other places, I guess, to maybe recoup something.
Yeah. It appears that, anytime there's any kind of lawsuit, the first thing that the attorney does for the plaintiff is said, let's just name any and everyone that we can think of with deep pockets, or i.e. has an insurance policy, and let's see what sticks. And it just seems like we've become such a litigious society. Let me ask you, because of this, insurance companies are finding it more important for them to be very specific in the language of what it is that they cover and what it is that they don't. Can you talk to us about, in this particular case, why the insurance company is saying, we don't think we should be responsible to paying out any money in the case of the murder of Trayvon Martin?
Sure. It is an exclusion in the policy, and I believe they're going after the directors and officers nonprofit liability here in this case. And what it is, there's a wrongful act exclusion in the policy, which basically states that the insurer is not liable to make any payments for loss in connection with any claim made against any of its insureds. And then that's based on or arising out of direct or indirect resulting from inconsequence or in any way involving bodily injury, sickness, mental anguish, emotional distress, disease, or death of a person. So all of those things are specifically excluded in the policy. And that is why I believe Travelers in this case is saying that, the association insurance policy would not pay on behalf, being that this exclusion is in their forms and documents.
Now, there's a couple of things for folks, for our listeners to, I suppose, to realize with all of this. It looks like this was a move on the attorney for Trayvon's mother, naming the insurance company specifically. Now, just because they name the insurance company and say, hey, we think you have responsibility here, if the court determines that the insurance company is not liable to pay, that does not mean that the insured, in this case the association, is necessarily home free, does it?
No, it does not. We never know what's going to happen, as an end result in the court system and so forth. So they may still be able to go after the association.
Yeah, I think a lot of people think, oh well, if it's denied, if it's denied by the insurance company, I guess that means we don't have any responsibility. No, it just means you don't have that as a source for possibly taking care of something that you might be liable for.
That's correct.
Yeah. Well, there's something that's interesting here, and that is, and I want you to talk about it here in the last few minutes of this segment, and that is the idea of what's called claims made, because in this article, it talked about that Travelers issued a policy on March 30th, but we know that the shooting took place before that. So we have a brand new policy as of March 30th, and the insurance company is saying, hey, there's something called claims made here. Talk to our listeners a little bit about what does that mean and why is that important in insurance?
Sure. Most, if not all, of the policies on the nonprofit directors and officers for associations are claims made in the state of Minnesota. And what that means is that the claim, even though it may have happened prior to, or the beginning of an issue might have started prior to the inception date, the claim is actually made on the policy that's in effect the date of the claim being forth to where it's brought actually as a claim to the insurance company or to the board as soon as they have knowledge of that actually being in a claim issue.
Now, there's something other than claims made. There's something that's also called occurrence. Tell us just real quickly, what is definition of an occurrence?
Sure. Occurrence means when it actually, gelled or solidified. So the occurrence might have happened, let's say, a year and a half ago, but they didn't actually present the claim until now. If you have an occurrence form, it would actually go back to whoever was carrying the insurance at the time that initially happened. Where a claim's made, it's being made as of that date today, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Now, some people probably aren't aware. I mean, there's so much to know about an insurance policy, especially a master policy for an HOA. People probably don't even stop to think, is it a claims made or occurrence that the insurance company is relying on here. If it's an occurrence policy, that means when something happened, you can go back to that insurance company, even though you may not be with them anymore. But claims made, that's not the case.
That's correct. And one of the fixes for that is if you do have a claims made policy, you'll always want to cover prior acts. And you have the ability to go back 12 months or up to, I think it is 5 years, if not more than that. So,
how much more does that typically cost for a writer to go back for a couple years or a year?
Yeah, it would depend, Jean, on the amount of insurance, of course, the limit, and then how big the association is. But just general rule of thumb, if you went back probably 3 years, you could probably figure about doubling their directors and officers' cost.
Okay.
Which really is not a whole lot.
For what it does, huh?
Right, and the premiums are usually pretty low anyway, so to double it is not really that huge of a cost to cover, a great exposure.
I think that's a great thing to remember, especially for an association if they think that they might have something that is just a possibility of a lawsuit. Going back with that kind of rider makes a lot of sense. Kim, thanks so much for taking some time to be on the show with us today.
Well, it's my pleasure, Gene. Thank you for having me.
Folks, that's Kim Bennett of American Family Insurance, the Kim Bennett Agency. We've got to take a break. Don't go away. We've got one more segment before the end of today's show.